Welcome to SingleEverAfter. Join me as I journey through the jungle of dating in search of my true love. Sometimes love feels unfamiliar, not because it's wrong, but because it doesn't look like what you expected. And I didn't realize how attached I was to my idea of love until I found myself being loved in a way that felt different. Not bad, not confusing in an obvious way, just unfamiliar enough that I didn't immediately know how to receive it. And that realization caught me off guard, because I always thought recognizing love would be automatic. I thought if someone cared about me, I would just know. I thought it would feel obvious, clear, easy to interpret. But that's not always how it works. I think most of us carry an internal definition of love without realizing it. And we don't usually sit down and decide what love should look like. We learn it through experience, through relationships, through patterns, through what attention looked like before, through what reassurance sounded like before, through what effort looked like in our past. And over time, those experiences quietly become expectations. Not intentional expectations, just familiar ones. And familiarity can feel like truth, even when it's just repetition, even when it's just what we've known. For a long time, I associated love with intensity, not chaos, just emotional visibility, frequent reassurance, verbal affirmation, big gestures, clear signals, things that made love easy to identify, things that made me feel certain. And certainty can feel a lot like safety, even when it's just familiarity. And I didn't realize how deeply that association lived in me until I experienced love that felt steady instead of intense. I didn't realize how strong that association was until I found myself in moments where care was present but expressed differently. And instead of immediately receiving it, I hesitated. Not outwardly, internally. That quiet hesitation surprised me, because nothing was wrong. Nothing needed to be fixed. Nothing was missing. It was just a quiet moment where I could see care being expressed in a way that didn't match my expectations. And my first reaction wasn't appreciation. It was questioning. Not because I doubted the person, but because I didn't immediately recognize the form. And that distinction matters. Because the hesitation wasn't about the relationship. It was about my expectations. I remember sitting with that feeling and realizing how automatic it was. The translation happening in my head, almost like my mind was checking love against a checklist I didn't know I had. And when it didn't match perfectly, I felt uncertainty, even though care was clearly present. That moment made me pause, because I realized something important. There can be a gap between being loved and recognizing love. And that gap is subtle, but real. It can exist even when everything is healthy, even when care is consistent, even when nothing is missing. That realization changed how I listened and how I noticed care in my relationship. Another moment I noticed this was in my expectations around reassurance. I realized I had a very specific idea of what reassurance sounded like. The tone, the words, the frequency. And when reassurance came in a different form, I didn't immediately register it. Not because it wasn't there, but because it wasn't familiar. That required me to slow down, to listen differently, to notice intention instead of format. And that shift felt small, but it wasn't. Letting someone love you differently requires trust. Trust that care can exist outside of your expectations. Trust that love can be expressed differently and still be real. Trust that unfamiliar doesn't mean insufficient. Letting someone love you differently isn't passive. It's active. It's choosing curiosity instead of assumption. It's noticing care even when it doesn't look the way you imagined. It's allowing your definition of love to grow, and growth can feel uncomfortable, even when it's good, even when it's healthy, even when it's exactly what you need. I think part of partnership is learning how to receive love, not just give it. And receiving love sometimes requires unlearning. Unlearning the idea that love has to look a certain way. Unlearning the idea that reassurance must sound familiar. Unlearning the idea that intensity equals care. Because love isn't one language, it's many. And learning to recognize new expressions of care is part of emotional growth. I'm still learning that, still noticing when my expectations show up, still choosing curiosity instead of assumption, still allowing love to feel unfamiliar sometimes without labeling it as wrong. And maybe that's part of what this season of life is teaching me. Not just how to love someone else, but how to receive love without translating it first. Letting someone love you differently isn't about lowering standards. It's about expanding understanding. It's about recognizing intention in new forms. It's about allowing care to exist outside of familiarity. That's something I'm still learning. And maybe you are too. I'm really glad you're here, and I'll talk to you next time.